Welcome back, NodPod. Thank you guys so much for joining us for another episode of Chasing Heroin. Tank is like grunting and grumbling in the background, so I don't know if you guys can hear that. But anyways, welcome back. And if you're on Spotify, we're on video. And if you're not on Spotify, I'm so sorry I keep talking about it. I just think it's so cool. But if you want to watch it and you're listening on another platform, you can watch them on YouTube as well. So I'm super excited for you guys to check out today's episode. So today's story is a story from me, and it's one that I've wanted to share for a while because I feel like in every addict's journey, there's a moment many moments where we start like crossing lines. Like we meet these lines and it's like, okay, if I cross this, it's a definite, like, it's a marker, it's an indication of pretty serious addiction, right? Like this thing has gotten very serious. And for me, of course, there were many of those, having to leave LA, it obviously like it means things are serious. Realizing I was physically strung out on heroin, that was a moment. And this was a moment when I actually brought drugs to a family event, to like a really important family event, and my parents were going to be there, and I just didn't ever want to do that, man, and I did. And my guest co-host today, you guys have probably heard me talk about him over the seasons, my friend Gumpy. His real name is Scott. Gumpy is the co-host today because he was there for this. And I always wondered what he thought, like when it happened. And so we just talk. He's got a hilarious story from when we were in college. He shares that. And we just chat a little bit about what it was like to be on the other side of this thing. And he also, too, I wanted to bring him on because if you are someone, a lot of our listeners also like love an addict, right? And there was something that he did that was so cool to me. And I think he just did it on accident because it's part of who he is. But like, he never stopped seeing me for who I am, like other people, they just could only see the addiction, which is fair at some point. But I was sometimes normal and with it. So like if I'd call you to talk about something normal, I could feel people were like, okay, Jeannine, okay. But he'd be like, oh yeah, well, he would have a real conversation with me. And it was like, he never lost sight of me in the midst of all of this. And we've been friends since we were 14 years old. We're going on 30 years of friendship. He was the man of honor at my wedding. And I'm super excited for you guys to meet him and hear us chat and listen to this story. Also, if you have been in this situation, if you've been traveling and been out of dope, I want to know. DM me, message me. I want to know what happened. I want to hear your stories too. Okay, we've got a NodPod shout out of the week this week. Also, name of this is amazing. This is an iTunes review. Name is Cher Horowitz's As If. So like person after my own heart here. How good was the movie Clueless? And this is crazy. Gump called me Cher in high school when it came out. So like just fate all the way around. But I love this name. So title, longtime listener, first time reviewer. It's like listening to friends talk. Find myself saying aloud often, nodding my head, laughing with my AirPods in. Tried to listen to a few other similar podcasts, but no one else seems to have this primo blend of humor, motivation, seriousness, real actionable advice and tidbits, and just plain telling it like it is. Like it really is. Grateful for Jeannine, Nate, Kim, and all the guests. Cher Horowitz's As If. I'm grateful for you. This is exactly what I want the show to be. You guys are part of the conversation because you are part of the conversation. I feel like we're all part of this NodPod family, whether or not you are still using or toying with the idea of quitting or your long-term recovery. Like we've all watched this journey of life and its challenges and these particular challenges. You guys are part of the conversation. You're part of the conversation, which is also why I love hearing from you. So, DM me your thoughts on this episode if you've been in a situation that's similar. And thank you guys so much for being here. And we'll see you again next week. All right. And then also on your side.
Did you just put in a breath mint?
Yeah. I'm addicted to these.
Okay. I was going to say, I can't smell, so.
I'm literally addicted to them. I eat them all the time. Okay. Regardless of if there's people around.
That sounds like a good idea for a new pod.
What? An Altoid addiction show?
Yeah. I'm joking.
Skylar, there's a medication called Vivitrol, and it blocks the feeling of opiates. And he was like, we need to put you on Vivitoid for the Altoids.
That's funny.
No, I'm literally like addicted to them. I sit here and eat them the whole time. Nate, my co-host,
I used to be. 5 years clean.
5 years clean from mints?
Altoids specifically.
Wait, really?
I used to buy a 10 and it'd be gone in like, a day and a half or 2 days.
No, I do that too. How did I not know you were also? Remember at the wedding, I asked Carrie to run out and get Altoids like the day of, but she got the fucking mini ones. Yeah. And I was like, who eats this shit? This is the wrong kind. You ate the real ones, right?
Yeah. I just got tired of all the white dust everywhere,
Well, yes, I'm
Make of
familiar with
that what you will.
No, I eat them all the time, and I eat them while we're on air. And so Nate makes fun of me because I so that you can't hear him crunching, I eat it like this.
Oh, like a little hamster or something?
Yeah, like a
That's
little
funny.
hamster or something.
All right, well, I'm not
I
going to
can't believe we've both been addicted to Altoids. That's really weird.
For me, addiction is a strong word.
Okay.
I just felt connected in the moment, but I did really love them, and I would buy them frequently. I just haven't I don't remember how long,
Okay.
At least 5 years.
Hold on, Tanky's barking. Let me open the door.
All right.
He doesn't bark. Hold on. Bubs. All right. You can come in. But you have to let me pick you up. Can I pick you up, Bubba? Oh, God. You know what? I'll fuck with this dog later. He's so cute, but he's a menace. He's a menace to pug society.
Hey, that's what you wanted.
Is it? Do you think I wanted a pug? I didn't know they were crazy. I didn't know that they were difficult to train. You didn't know that either. What did you know?
I didn't, but you asked. Okay. You wanted one.
I did. One. I've wanted one for 20 years? A very long time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Anyways, welcome back, guys, to another episode of Chasing Heroin. My name is Jeannine, and I'm very excited to have, as you guys have seen, you actually kind of look like Nate, but maybe just a little bit older version. Have you ever seen a picture of Narcan, Nate, my co-host?
No.
You guys kind of look similar. I just realized. Anyways, we have today with us on the show, guest co-hosting, one of my very, very good friends, best friend of nearly 30 years. He was the man of honor at my wedding. I had a man of honor. My very good friend, Scott Gerard, who I will call Gumpy. Oh, and you guys have heard me talk about him over the years as Gump. They've definitely all heard stories of you or your name come up before. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you. And I'm pretty used to people knowing me only as Gump.
Okay. So you're okay with that?
Yeah, I've gotten used to it.
Okay. All right. Okay. Right as I was when I was thinking about it this morning, I was like, I've never asked you 30 years later if you even like the nickname, but we've all just been calling you that for so long.
I know. It depends on the moment.
Right.
Yes. Sure. It's fine. There's only a handful of people that still use it at this point.
Yeah.
But it's fine.
But it's also, with me and Barbara, it's super endearing. It's a term of love.
Sure. But, if I was somewhere in Peachtree City at some restaurant and saw someone I hadn't seen in a while, that's, they might say, Gump!
Oh, they do still? Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it's happened. It's been a while, but yeah, it's happened. That's what I'm saying. It's it could happen a week from now, and I'm not going to go, hi, it's good to see you. I don't like that name anymore, by the way.
Please call me Scott.
Yeah, exactly.
What is the origin of that story is you playing soccer and running like Forrest Gump, right?
Yeah, well, no. I mean, yes, that's, basically the core of it, but the specific catalyst was a couple players on the team. I guess I had my hair cut short recently, and they saw me running around, tall, thin guy, military-ish haircut. And one of them just goes, that guy kind of looks like Forrest Gump. And it just kind of stuck.
And it fucking stuck.
Yeah. And once the coach heard it, he loved it for whatever reason. But then it's once I scored because I was new on the team. These were all veterans on the team. I kind of joined them because, we had some mutual friends on that team, Scott, Zach. I think Joe Jackson was too at one point. Anyway, but yeah, it's the name stuck and he loved it. So when I scored that first goal, it was just a brand.
Yeah.
Sizzled into the side of me. It stuck. So anytime, I scored, I had to do the run.
You would do the run after you scored, right?
Yeah, the coach would yell for it. So
yeah. Well, I love it. Yeah. You were introduced to me as Gump, actually, at that church retreat when we were playing volleyball.
Really?
Mm-hmm. I remember the first moment we met, we were playing volleyball, and we had a church retreat in Alabama, and you had driven there separately in your truck, right. in your dad's truck. You'd driven there separately. And I don't know why you did this, but we were playing volleyball, and at some point you just booted the ball deep into the woods. Do you remember that?
No. It probably checks. I would get mad at inanimate objects and just kick them far.
I think you were doing it to be difficult.
I was competitive.
Yeah.
Maybe I lost game point and I was mad. I don't remember the story.
Yeah, I don't either. I
can't deny that I kicked a ball into the woods.
Right. But yeah, so we have been friends since 1994, which is crazy. Almost 30 years.
I know.
That was 94 when we met. So anyways, okay. So the reason I've invited Gumpy on the show is that I'm going to share a story with you guys that I actually haven't shared yet. It's kind of crazy. It's not that crazy as some of my stories go, but Scott was actually there. I just called you Scott for the first time in my whole life, but Gumpy was actually there for some of it. So I wanted to get like his reaction and see what, if anything he was aware of. So, okay, and as we're talking, if you have any questions about anything, obviously just, let me know. So the other reason why I want to share this one is that I feel like there's a moment with all heroin addicts where we realize we're fucked in a sad way. You know what I mean? Early on, you're fucked physically because you're chemically dependent now and you have to use every day to get well, but typically at some point, a family event or something comes up that you have to miss or that you do miss or whatever. And it's just like the sadness and the gravity of the situation kind of hits you even more. You know what I mean? And this was that for me. So I hadn't been strung out that long. This was in October of, I think 2010 or 11. And I'd been strung out since that summer. Strung out meaning you have to use every day. Otherwise you get sick, right? I'd get dope sick if I didn't use. So I strung out, needed to use it every day. And I had a family event coming up in the South that I had to fly home for. And I had to bring heroin with me or miss it or be really sick while I was there, right? Which was not an option to be that sick while I'm traveling. So I actually first tried to quit by going to the methadone clinic, and they would do this detox where they would take you down of milliliters every day because I really didn't want to bring heroin to this particular event for a variety of reasons. And Gumpy was actually invited to this event because he's close with my family. So he was going to be there too. No one knows I'm on heroin at this point. No one in my family. Gump doesn't know. Our other best friend, Barbara, my best friend, Carrie, the kids that grew up with me, basically. No one knows. So I'm not able to do the methadone detox. It's a 20-day detox or something. And by the last 4 days, I was just getting sick and couldn't keep doing it. So I realized my only option was to bring heroin with me to this event, which I didn't want to do. But again, the alternative was missing it. And when I made amends to this person a few years later, I said that. I was I know this isn't it's not an excuse, but it's an explanation. I was faced with not going or bringing this with me, right? And the option of not going wasn't, I was going to go because it was a big deal. So anyways, I go to my connect's house and I bought more than I normally did. And I was only going to be gone, I think, for 2 days, but I bought more than I normally did. And I was super scared to bring it on the airplane, obviously, because it's a felony, right? I mean, it has to be a felony.
Pretty sure.
Drug trafficking.
Yeah.
It has to be a felony, right?
Yeah.
And I was just smoking at that point. I wasn't using needles, so I didn't have to bring a needle or anything.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think it's illegal to have in general, right? It's not hold on, ma'am, you can't bring that heroin on the plane. You're going to have to throw that away.
That's true. That's true. I guess it's a felony all the time. That was a stupid fucking question. It's illegal if you're in your car, but not on the plane. Yeah, no, you're right. Okay. So I was super nervous about bringing it. So I brought it in my underwear. And it was before they did the scanners. You know what I mean? Before you did those things and it went around you. Actually, I don't know if it was. Maybe they did those. But either way, I didn't get caught with it. And I had connecting flights. I had 2 connecting flights. But, once you're through the first security, whatever. So I had 2 flights and carrying it with me, get there. And you and I met in Atlanta to drive up to, we met up in South Carolina somewhere.
Yeah, no, I think it was, I want to say it was Charlotte or something.
Okay.
It was some regional airport, right?
Okay,
some
all right.
Regional airport, yeah.
Close to our final destination. So you had rented a car and you were driving there from Georgia. So you picked me up from the airport.
Yes.
And I wasn't sick, but I must not have smoked yet. And I had foil and I'm in the car with you, my childhood best friend. And I said to you, I don't know if you remember this, I said, I'm going to smoke some hash. Is that okay? It's like weed, which of course you know what hash is, right? You would have known. And I was trying to pass it off as hash and I smoked heroin in the car while you were driving. Did you believe me or what did you think?
Not to sound like a cliche, but it all happened so fast. You said that and I'm thinking, all right, maybe she's got a rolled, I don't know, you said hash, so I'm thinking one thing. And then I'm driving because, we're on like mountain roads.
We're on mountain roads.
Yeah. And then I could see you doing something, but I'm watching the road. And all of a sudden I'm like, what is that? That's a weird smell. It smells like bacon. And then I look over, you've got the foil and the lighter, and you got your sunglasses on, and I'm just, what is this?
Yeah.
What is this? I mean, I've heard of hash, but it's, I don't know. It just seemed off.
Right.
The moment seemed off.
Right.
Because it was just foreign to me.
Right. But you didn't, and this is one of the things that I want to talk about too. You didn't say anything. You just kept driving, and I put it away, and it didn't come up again. And then I did a little while I was there, but I wasn't like a fallen out heroin addict, right? Like no one knew, you know what I mean? You were there. Like I was, I had a glass of wine or something at the event. No one knew what I was doing. I was just doing enough to say, well, plus I had a limited amount, right? So the last morning I go to smoke because I was, again, smoking at that time. And it was the last bit, which I didn't realize. And I had like an 18-hour layover day to get back, which would have left me sick flying. And I was like, oh shit, how did I not plan this right? Like I'm going to be on an airplane, dope sick. Holy shit. I bought more than I normally use. I can't believe I'm going to run out. Like, and for the heroin addicts listening, that panic, right? Like you that panic when you're out and you're, I was far away, right? And I had multiple connecting flights again. So one of them was in Newark, New Jersey, like the second flight. So by the time we get to Newark, I'm not feeling great. I'm already starting to get sick. And I have like a 6-hour layover in fucking Newark, New Jersey before I'm even going home. And my ex who I used with was from New Jersey, but he hadn't lived there in like 15 years. So I call him and I'm like, I'm going to walk into the hood of New Jersey and try to buy heroin. And he was like, if you do that, I will never see you again. You're not fucking doing that. And I was like, well, what am I supposed to do? I'm going to get sick, And so I'm debating, like, do I leave the airport? Do I come back? Like, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? And this is so fucked up what I did. But again, the drug addicts listening will understand. I went back to the gate. And to complicate all of this, my dad is a pilot for this airline. So on top of everything, there's that. So in addition to just the regular felony, it's a horrific humiliation for my favorite person on earth. Right? Mm-hmm. So mix that into everything, right? So I'm at the gate and I had my purse, and I had never once in my life with dope, with heroin, I had never once, like, what you have when it's opiates. What you have, right? What you have. And I knew it was gone, right? What I bought was gone. And I sat down and I prayed to God. I closed my eyes at the gate and I was like, hey man, I know this is really fucked up. I need a serious favor. I need you to super come through for me right now and put extra heroin in my purse, dude. I'm just going to say it. Like, I'm so sorry, God. I know this is a disappointment.
Yeah.
This is not how I was raised, but I need your help, man. Side note, Gumpy and I were raised in the same church. And I feel like, though, the way that we were raised, our God is a God that's on our side, and we can say some crazy shit like that. Do you know what I mean? And I've learned since I've been in recovery that a lot of people have a very punitive, punishing idea of God, like this fearful, angry dude. But it was like a friend. You know what I mean? And so I was raised.
Well, we're Methodists.
Right. Yes. Yes.
Hey, it's cool, man.
It's super late. Yeah.
Just have some wine, chill out. You'll be good.
Right. Methodists are they're like pro-choice. You know what I mean? Like, of all the religions, you know what I mean? It was super chill and laid back. So anyways, and I was like, I know this is wild when I'm asking you, man, I need some dope. Finish praying. Now I know this isn't going to work, right? I'm just super, super desperate, right? I opened my purse and I still remember like what kind of bag it was. So it had a flap and then like a front pocket that was open and then another, like the bigger part. I opened the purse, knowing there's nothing there because I've gone through it. And I looked down and I saw a little black, like trash bag plastic in my front pocket. And I stopped and like shut my purse. And I was like, no way. No way that's there. It's probably like a rock, because heroin can look like a rock. And I don't know why a rock would be in my purse, but I was like, it's probably a pebble. Right. Yeah. I opened back my bag. It is a 20 sack of heroin that I must have forgotten about that was in my purse.
Are you saying that a miracle happened?
I don't know. I mean, no, of course not. For the record, no.
I mean, in that moment for you, that was a miracle.
Oh, it was a miracle for me. I'm not saying God put it there, but it was a full fucking miracle for me. And I had been so rude to the person at the not rude, but like, when are we leaving? How long? And I saw it and I shut the bag and I stood up, and this is so fucking lame. I can't even believe I'm going to tell you. I stood up and moonwalked a couple of steps. I was so happy towards the bathroom, for real. So I had just gone from being like like this bitchy girl to the person to I was like, hey, all right. And I like moonwalked a couple of steps and did like a little turn and went into the bathroom and got well there in the bathroom. Isn't that crazy? But my second thought, once I got it, so my first thought is like, holy shit, thank God. Once I get into the bathroom, I realized that bag with that heroin in it had gone through the x-ray how many times, not hidden. And I can't believe nobody saw it. But again, it just looks like a little like rock. You know what I mean? You wouldn't necessarily know.
Yeah. I don't think that would stand out. Like nowadays, like you were talking about, if you had it in your underwear or something, yeah, they'd probably see it. But back then in a purse, that with no foil.
Right. Yeah. No foil or anything like that. And now I don't remember how I would have gotten foil in the airport. Maybe I still had some. I probably would have still had some that I was trying to use. So anyways, it was just like, so I couldn't believe that it was there and that I was able to not be sick in the airport. It was a literal miracle.
Yeah, it was. I could imagine what that lady at the gate was thinking, right? Like that talk that they have. Yeah, oh yeah, this girl is such a bee. Oh my God, who is that? Over there, that girl moonwalking into the bathroom. Her. Oh my God. And then you walk out and you're just
super happy. Yeah, exactly.
She was nice to me. I don't know.
Yeah. But like, here's what I want to point out too about like you being there and not saying anything. And I said this to you at my wedding, and I want to say this for anybody like listening. So of all of the people in my life, family members, friends, everybody, you never lost sight of me. Ever. Like, no matter how bad it was, you never stopped believing it was really me. And I could tell in our conversations. Like, and the night before our wedding, or 2 nights before the wedding, I gave my friends a little keychain that was like engraved with something specific for them. And the one that I gave him said, a true friend knows the lyrics to the song in your heart and can sing them back to you when you have forgotten the words. And I gave that to you because like all of my other friends and family, when I would talk to them, they were scared of me a little, not like physically, but there was hesitation and why you calling? You know what I mean? Like, and it was weird. And you, no matter how bad things were, you'd be like, hey, what's up? It was like, you never thought it wasn't me. You know what I mean? Like, and you weren't in denial. You knew I was a serious drug addict, but I felt like there was a part of you that was like, yeah, I mean, the heroin's not so good, but you're fine. You know what I mean? Like, it just felt like that. Like, I remember you even came to visit me at that really shady apartment in Oceanside. I don't even think I brought you inside. I met you in the parking lot. You remember that?
Yeah. Well, I remember going to one. I think your mom had brought me to one point. I don't know if, but I remember you meeting me in the parking lot one time. Yeah. I don't remember where that was. Probably a good thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I remember that happening. But I think you say I always, was trying to relate to you. I think I was always trying to talk to you because that's the person I knew, I was trying to like keep you in mind, like, hey, I'm, you're still there too. Just want to see Jeannine again,
Yeah. And I don't know how you're able to do that, but I'm so grateful that I had like one person out there that I could tell, I don't know, you just knew I was still there. Do you know what I mean? So like, we have a lot of people that listen that are friends of an addict or loved ones of an addict. And like, it might be hard, but it was so nice for me to have one person that was able to like, cause like I was still there, you know what I mean? Like I look like shit and I was making some bad choices, but like I would still call you with a funny story. You know what I mean? And like, if I called someone else with a funny story, even if it was fucking hilarious, they'd be like, yeah, okay. Hey, how you doing? You know, and I was like, that's not the point. But if I called you and I told you a funny story, like you would talk to me and laugh with me like I was just a regular person. And it was just so helpful to feel like real, you know?
Yeah. No, well, I'll say this. I always knew that you still were, because for me, I mean, I can't imagine anything worse than some of the things you've gone through. But for me, at least, you know, mentally and just how you are as a person, there was never like this point of no return. It's like I would always see you still. So I always still knew that you were there.
Right. Yeah.
I think that's what it was.
Yeah. Did you ever get to a point, you probably didn't because you weren't living here anymore. Did you ever get to a point where you thought that I wouldn't make it?
That's a loaded question.
Yeah.
It's definitely a fear that I'd considered, but I didn't want to think about it because it's something I can control, you know?
Right.
Same thing like you said, I didn't say anything to you, but I think in that moment, driving on those mountain roads with you with that foil and the open flame in the car, I'm like, there's not really anything I can say right now. You know,
right,
what you brought it with you across country, you know, threatening your own freedom, but like there's nothing I could say to you on that road like, hey, why don't you just put that away? You know, and you would just, yeah, I guess I should. You know, I wasn't that I wasn't that naive, I guess.
Well, it's like that. You and I have joked about this before. Like, well, why don't you just quit? Oh, it's a good thing I fucking talked to you today. I should just quit. Thank you. You just changed my life.
Yes. Thank you.
Or it's like with dieting, when people are like, well, just eat better. Oh, just eat better. Okay. Mm-hmm. Good thing I saw you today. My whole life's changed.
Another miracle.
Yeah. Thank God I spoke with you.
Yeah.
Okay. So also while I have you here, I have to, and there's no real purpose to this story other than just pure fucking entertainment, which I think is fine. The funniest story. So Gumpy is like the top 3 funniest human being I've ever known in my entire life. Maybe even top 1, because now I'm thinking who would the first 2 be? But one of the top funniest people I've ever known in my entire life. And this story, now I'm probably overselling it. Oh, well.
Yeah.
This story.
Let's get into it.
I'm probably fucking overselling it. This story is the funniest story I've ever heard in my entire life. I believe I peed my pants the first time you told it to me when I was like, I don't know, 26 or 27, right around the time that it happened, or I might have been younger. And I just want you to share this story for our audience. And again, there's no real inspirational purpose for this one. It's just funny.
Yeah. No, you like the story. I get it. It's funny. It was funny to me when it happened, but it seems funny every time I tell it to you. So I have no problem telling the story. But it was in college, 2 roommates at the time. We'll just say their names are Luke and Brad, because that was their names, actually.
That's their actual name. Yeah, I thought you were going to make it up.
Anyway, Luke I had known for a while. I had met him through a mutual friend. Our birthdays were one day apart, same year, so we were cool. This was a friend of his from when he went to high school, when he grew up. So he knew him very well. And I just want to preface this. These were good guys at the core. I had no issue with them. So this story is just presented very objectively. But I got a call from Luke. This was a Friday afternoon. He had just gotten off work and was driving home after a hard day, well, school and work. And he called me and he said, hey, man, he did a lot of breathing like that, mostly because he smoked a lot of cigarettes. But he said, my truck broke down. Can you come and get me?
Hold on. I want to interject here, too, that we were at the University of Georgia and that these were very Southern boys, because I think that adds to all of this. Okay, sorry. Go ahead. I just want to add
problem.
that.
No, they'll figure that out when they hear the rest of it. But sure, give them a primer. But Luke gave me a call. Yeah, man, my truck broke down. Can you come and get me? And I said, yeah, sure, Luke. Sorry to hear. Where are you? He said, well, the truck is on the on-ramp to the Loop, which is kind of like a freeway around Athens, Georgia, just kind of like 285 around Atlanta, just a lot less
you have to do the accent, though. You have to do the accent.
That's
the funniest part.
Did I not?
No, you didn't. You have to do the accent. Add it.
Okay, I'll hick it up. He
okay.
Said, yeah, man, my truck is on the on-ramp to the Loop, but I'm up here at the Texas Roadhouse at the bar. So you just want to come up here, man, and get me. I'll get you a beer, whatever. Then we can go home. I'm like, all right. Well, I don't need a beer if I got to drive it. Anyway, whatever. Yeah, I'll see you in a minute, Luke. I'll see you in a minute. So like we get up there. I've never been to a Texas roadhouse, but as I'm driving over the bridge to get to this roadhouse, I can see his beat up truck on the side of the on-ramp. Pull into the Texas roadhouse, walk in, there's peanut shells everywhere. Didn't know about that. But I see Luke up at the bar in his work clothes, but with his big ass book bag full of books from school that day. And I go up to him and say, "What's up, man? I want a beer." I was like, "Cool, but why you got your book bag here?" It's anyway. He says, "Yeah, thanks for coming. I called Brad, our roommate, but he said he wasn't home. I don't know, he couldn't do anything." I'm like, "Really? Huh? What? Well, Brad was home when I left." And Luke said, "What? That son of a bitch! I'm gonna kick his ass." Like really, like that guttural, He was really mad. This it's not uncommon for Luke, but this was only after one beer, so I knew it was like personal. So we get in my car. We stop by his truck, get whatever we needed, go back home, and the whole way Luke is just, I can't say it any other way. He's just bitching about Brad, like how bad of a roommate he is, bad of a friend he is. I do all this for him. Blah blah blah. I'm like, look, it's no big deal. Maybe he was, maybe he had some beers he couldn't drive. Well, it doesn't matter. No, actually it does. But anyway, we get home, we pull up, and his car's there, and he can see Brad sitting on the front porch, rolling one of his like drum cigarettes. Just those guys that roll their own tobacco. He's like, "Oh, there he is. I'm gonna whip his ass." So he parks, he gets out, goes to the front door with his book bag. Brad's just sitting there, minding his own business, not knowing what in the hell is about to happen. And Luke the front door is wide open, by the way. We kind of lived in the hood, but the guy just sat on the front porch with the door wide open. Anyway, Luke walks through the front door, swings the book bag at him, like, "You asshole, you come get me." And then all I hear is ruckus, because I'm trying to run through the shotgun house trying to catch up with him, and they're just fighting on the front porch, and Luke's throwing Brad's, there's no one's really landing any punches. But then at one point, Luke goes after Brad, and he misses. And he, like, doubles over the railing, like, "Oh!" And so in that moment, Brad like sees this empty keg can next to him and picks it up like Donkey Kong. And then Luke kind of comes over and like hits him, and then he like drops the keg behind him, and then there's this loud gong because of this keg can, and it bounces down the front stairs. And then that's kind of when I separate them. And then, they're heated and they're heavy breathing and huffing, puffing and talking after that. But man, that was the funniest fight that I think I've ever seen between two men.
That's the funny, like, and again, y'all, super redneck. And my memory too is that at one point, because this is seared in my brain, he was like, "Oh, that motherfucker," and he called him motherfucker with that, and he was like, "Oh, I'm gonna kick his ass." And the whole way home, I didn't know he came at him from the back with his book bag, though.
Yeah,
I didn't know
he carried that 50 pounds all the way to the front door. And after he hit him, Brad's like, "Hey," rolling his head, "What the fuck, man? Luke, what's going on, brother?" He's trying to figure out what happened. Poor guy. But yeah, it was funny, but it was pretty ugly. They made up like 3 hours later.
They did.
Of course, yeah, water under the bridge, of course.
Yeah. Dude, that shit is so funny. That's literally one of the funniest stories I've ever heard in my entire life.
I'm glad I could provide it for you.
Yes. It will go down in history as like one of my favorite stories of all time.
Mm-hmm. There's some funny stories about Brad, but we'll say that one for another pod.
Dude, Brad, some of the Brad stories, like we could add a segment that are about Brad.
Yeah, it is. I do want to give him credit, though. I think he turned it around. Last I heard, he was an art teacher at an elementary school in his hometown.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. Yeah, because everybody graduated. Y'all all graduated.
Well,
right?
I don't know that Brad did. I think Luke
okay.
did. Luke was
okay.
Was it Phi Theta Kappa, that honor society? Like Luke.
Wait, what? Luke was in the honor society? No fucking way.
Luke was a smart man.
No way.
Yes. He was a forestry major. He studied, like he was smart without trying,
I didn't know that. Well, he definitely wasn't trying to impress anybody.
No, he wasn't. No.
I didn't know that. What is he doing now?
I don't know. For a while, he was working at UPS, and he just liked that because I think it was maybe mindless. But yeah. I don't know. I think eventually, well, I don't know. I haven't talked to him. I kind of lost the contact.
Yeah. Dude, some of the hardest I've ever laughed in my entire life was in Athens. I mean, like, there were moments like at Bird Dog. Dude, I remember this one time at Bird Dog. I don't think I've ever told this story either. So Bird Dog was the bar that I worked at in Athens,
Is
Georgia.
this the interview or is that another story?
The interview?
Your interview at Bird Dog?
No, I don't remember that though.
Really?
No, You might remember something I don't remember about my interview.
Okay.
Oh, right. Yes, I do. Yes. Well, okay. The first time I went in there, I left, right? You might have to refresh my memory. I saw the owner on the toilet.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. The first time I walked in. Yes. Yes. That's not the story I was going to tell, though.
Okay.
But that was definitely foreshadowing, of my life to come. So anyways, I worked at this redneck bar, about the most southern redneck bar y'all can imagine. But like, again, like the hardest I've ever laughed in my entire life was at this bar. So I was bartending with my friend Matt, who also bartended there. And I remember we bartended on Tuesday nights and we were there and it wouldn't really get cracking until like 10 o'clock at night. But I think Matt would do like a shift earlier in the day and then I would come in at night. And this guy walked in. It was a shotgun bar, like the way it was set up, isn't that what that's called? If it's just a long hallway?
Yeah.
Shotgun?
More
right.
or less.
Like you were saying the shotgun house.
Yeah. But that's
okay.
Like if you're standing at the front door, you can see through the back door.
Okay. The Bird Dog was like that.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, there was the pool tables, but you could kind of. So anyways, I'm behind the bar and this guy walks in and he walks straight to the back around the pool table and his head is like this and he circles around the pool table and he's walking around and Matt goes, "Hey buddy, did you lose something?" And the guy goes, "What? No, why?"
Why do you ask?
And Matt and I were like, "No reason." And he was like, "Huh." And he just walked out. His head was just like that, dude. But Matt was like, "I swear to God, that guy was in here earlier and he was normal. His head wasn't like that." And I literally almost peed my pants laughing. I will never forget that guy being like, "What? No? Why?" We're like, "Nothing."
Oh, that's funny. It's like the ambiguously gay duo. It's like, what's everyone laughing at? Nothing.
Right.
Nothing.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I forgot about the ambiguously gay duo.
Yeah, that's right.
Dude. But yeah, like the hardest I've ever laughed in my life just about would have been in Athens, Georgia when we were in college.
Good times. Good times.
Very, 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 very good times. And then Gumpy
the starting of it all though, really, right?
I know. And then we moved to LA.
Yeah,
young dreamers.
Yeah, exactly, right?
Young dreamers.
Dude, I remember, well, I don't know if this is a story you've already talked about.
Which one?
It was one where I got a call from a bondsman.
Oh, I've not ever told this story.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you can tell it.
Okay, I don't know if that was for another pod,
We can talk about it.
Well, it was, I mean, I'd never gotten a call like that before. And I got the call and this guy was, talking and, I was just trying to ask questions, what it was about. He couldn't really tell me. I don't know if he really was specific, but he was, he's obviously asking for money. And in that moment, I was like worried about what was going on with you, but I was also worried, like, oh my God, I feel like, if she's calling me, that means who knows who she's called so far that couldn't help her, right? Maybe it was just one call before that. I don't know. But in that moment, I was like, I'm going to feel bad if I can't help her, but, I can't really help her.
Dude, my bail was $45,000 fucking dollars.
I know. I'm getting there. The guy said, I said, eventually I just said, well, how much is it? And he didn't say it in a way, like he said it, I thought he said 4, something like that. And in my head, I'm thinking 400. And I'm like, God, 400? And he goes, no, 4,000. And I went, oh! But it's weird, in that moment, I felt a huge amount of relief because, like, there's no fucking way I can help her now. Oh, yeah. Oh, dude. Look, I told her I'd love to help her. I really would, but there's no way I can help that. So, load off of my mind,
Yeah. Dude, I was in a lot of trouble. That was for printing fake checks. They found a printer at my house I had like magnetic ink and all this shit so they'd arrested us and raided the house while we were in jail. It was a whole thing. And I had definitely, but you were right. Like how many people, dude, I was so desperate. Check this shit out. This is how desperate I was to get out of jail because I had never gone to big jail. I'd only gone into holding bunches of times. This is my 4th time in holding, but I've never had to go to like the facility, the actual Las Colinas jail, the women's jail. And I was super scared to go. And I was going to be really, really sick. I was so desperate and my bail was $45,000. I was like, wait, what? That's so much money. And they were like, yeah. But my next arrest, I have told this story. My bail was $100,000, $100,000 for strong arm robbery. And I went over to the phone and they have the list of bondsmen. And I picked up the phone to start my usual shit looking for bail. And I was like, I was going to give me 10 grand. And I like slammed the phone down. And I was like, dress me out. I'll go to the big jail. Because I'd already gone the time that we're talking about. I was so desperate. I called Cliff.
Oh, wow.
My uncle.
Yeah.
Who Gumpy knows. Who is a hero of mine. And a very impressive man. He's made a lot of money. He's done a lot of amazing things. Yeah. I really admire him. And I called him for bail. And I was super manipulative. My dad used to call me Buckethead when I was a kid. And Cliff loved that nickname and would call me Buckethead. And so at 32 on his voicemail, I was like, it's Buckethead. And it was like 4 a.m. And I was asking for bail on a commercial burglary check cash case. I called my dad.
Oh, wow.
That time. Yeah. I called my dad, which I had never done before. Obviously, everybody told me no, and I went to jail. But I remember telling our other friend Barbara later that you were actually like, I was like, yeah, the only person that even really considered it was Gump. He was kind of like, well, maybe. How much is it? See if I can move some funds around and come up with 400, you know?
Right?
You should not have bailed me out.
Yeah, no, sorry, that wasn't going to happen. But yeah, I don't know. I forget what I thought after, I got off the phone with him. I'm just like, God, I hope she can figure it out. Hope a miracle happens,
Did I call you when I got out to follow up?
I think so. From what I remember, I thought when I came to see you, you were staying at some, I don't know if it's a halfway house. I don't know if you call it that. It was some home, right? Like
sober living. This was years later, though, that you're talking about. Yeah.
Is it? Okay.
Oh,
but
yeah.
I remember like we were just talking outside of it in my car. I came down to see you someday.
Oh, no. Okay. So twice. So you came to see me in sober living when I was clean this time. It was like 2015 or 16. We went to Mother's Day with my mom and I was clean. I met you in the parking lot because men aren't allowed. But we also, another time you met me outside in a parking lot of like a trap house when I was heavily using.
Okay.
And I walked out to the parking lot to talk to you. And I remember realizing as I walked out there, I was wearing like a strapless dress that I stole from Hollister, actually. And I remember being so happy because it was a Hollister size 2. And in the midst of my madness, I was like, at least I'm skinny. I might be fucking dying, but at least I'm skinny. So I'd stolen this dress. So I was wearing that. And I remember talking to you kind of like with my arm. But the arrest was after that. It was shortly after that, actually. But I hope I called you when I got out. But yeah. I was also telling everybody at that time that it was a mistake and that it wasn't my check. So I might have called you with that story a few days later.
No, I don't think I even knew what was going on. When we talked, you didn't mention it. You were just like trying to like let me know, hey, I'm, I think you were sober at that moment. You were lucid. So, you're just kind of checking in.
Well, I felt bad that I'd called you for bail. That was pretty embarrassing.
Sure. Sure.
Actually, it's not. Of the people that I called, calling you is the least embarrassing by far.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I was still kind of like, wow, I can't believe it's gotten this far that my childhood friend since I was 14 years old at 32, I'm calling for bail. Ooh, you know what I should share? I got one more.
Mm-hmm.
So I debated in high school. I was super good at debate, right? And I would go to debate camps. I know that that's nerdy, but I don't care. I'm proud of it. I would go to debate camps and Gumpy would write me letters while I was there and sign them from the Hanson fan club, the boy band Hanson fan club, so that when the RAs would see the mail, it looked like I was a member of the Hanson fan club. Okay. So it's hilarious.
Yeah.
And you did it 2 years in a row.
It looked like you were
applying.
applying.
Oh, yeah. You wrote an application denied. Please stop writing. That's what you wrote. Okay. So this is in high school. And this is a sweet story. So that's in high school. My future looks bright at this point, right? Headed to GW. Okay. Cut to 12 years later. Things are very, very different in my world. So I end up at Choices, the rehab. And there was this like Hell's Angel kind of guy that worked there who I loved. His name was Steve, not the Steve that you guys have heard me talk about a lot, the owner. And different Steve. Scary guy, kind of, but they were all sweet. And he called me into his office and he was like, hey, I need you to sit down. I got to talk to you about something like really fucking serious. Shut the doors. And I was like, oh shit. And I shut the doors and I was doing all sorts of shit wrong in rehab that time. So like it could have been for fucking anything. And I'm like, fuck, I'm going to get kicked out. And I sit down and he slams a letter on the table and push it over to me. And he was like, what the fuck is this? And it was from you, from the Hanson fan club in 2012.
Oh, and so he's like, explain this.
Yeah, you're in here for, IV meth and heroin use, but this is no good. But it was so sweet that you did that. And then the next year when I was back again, same guy said, come on in here, get your ass in here. And he was kind of smiling and I kind of thought maybe it was going to happen. And he said, I can't believe we're doing this again. And he slammed the letter down and you wrote me another one the second time I was back also.
Damn, I didn't remember that one. Yep,
yes, you did.
It's a recall.
Yes. It's a recall from our life. But like, that's the kind of stuff that I valued so much because I feel like anyone that knew me before my parents got divorced knows me in a different way. You know what I mean? Like, know me. It's a whole different thing, right? To have been there for my family and then the end of that, you know what I mean? And so like to remember from that era and bring it back. I mean, it probably wasn't your intention, but it kept me connected to, because where we're from is good. You know what I mean? We were raised right. Like we were raised in a great neighborhood, in a great school, in a great church community. Like that's one of the things I've learned during the podcast that like, I never understood why people struggled with like the higher power thing, because for me, it was so easy because it was presented to us in a kind, loving, palatable way. It was an easy space for me to go to. And I now know how lucky we were with that. But so like getting that letter from you all those years later, it's kept me connected, Yeah,
good. I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah, no, I'm very glad that you wrote me that letter. So
good. I felt like such a huge dork. I'm like, maybe it'll do some good. Maybe it'll make her smile.
It did. There was another moment I was detoxing and I was like super sick and Carrie had written me and I was like throwing up and I had a letter from Carrie and I forget what she said. She said something that made me comment out loud and I became aware that there was another girl in the detox. And she was like, what the fuck are you laughing at? And I was like, what? And we're both so fucking sick. We can't do anything. And I was like, my fucking friend wrote me a letter. And she was like, you don't have any friends. I even know this bitch. And I was like, yes, I do. This is a scientist. She went to college. And the girl goes, you don't know anyone that went to college. And I was like, I went to college. And then I started like throwing up right then. Isn't that bizarre? And I was just like holding Carrie's letter.
That's funny. I
know,
totally see
so
that
funny.
happening too.
Yeah.
For no reason.
Like, yeah. I was like, not only do I have a friend, she's a fucking scientist.
Yeah.
Fuck you. I went to college.
This was supposed to be me.
Exactly.
Well, you were never going to go to college. And then, then you get kicked out of that place because you're fighting. But that's fine.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining me today.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
What do you have planned today?
Well, I have Lana, my 3-year-old daughter. I think my wife and I are going to take her to go do something. She keeps talking about a pool. So we don't have a pool. We're not going to put one in the next 3 hours. So we're going to go find something. Splash pad, neighborhood pool that we know somebody, I don't know, something like that. Just get out of the house,
Yeah. Is it hot there yet? No.
Not quite, no. It's kind of cool. It's windy. There was a storm that came through, but no humidity yet.
Okay. You know what story I'm going to tell next? When we were in Belize.
Oh, God, which one?
Talking about how hot it was. So we were in Belize together on a mission trip, and there was this Belizean.
Oh,
is that
lady?
A word?
That lady? I think so, yeah.
Belizean? There was a Belizean citizen talking to us. Wait, hold on. Real dumb question. Belize is the country or the city?
It's both. Okay. Belize City was the capital of Belize, the country.
Okay, that's so embarrassing that I just did all that. But anyways.
You've been through a lot, Jeannine. Forgive yourself.
But she was talking to us and it was hot as shit. And I remember she walked up to see what we were doing and we're all dying. And as one of us said something about the weather and she was like, oh, it's going to stay hot. Oh, God. I don't remember how she said it or why it just was so funny to us, but we were just dying laughing.
Oh, I know. But it's someone that lived there and you ask them about the weather and it's just so bad. Oh, God. Don't make me think about my life anymore. Yeah, because it was, I mean, we were
crazy
we
hot.
were closer, a lot closer to the equator. It was worse, like as bad as we thought Georgia was.
Right.
You know, I grew up in Louisiana too, so I had that. But Belize was definitely worse. Like when
we were building a church.
Yeah, and we were like,
so we were on the roof.
Water. So there was still a breeze, but just, oh man, it's like a sauna outside. And it's like decades earlier, you know, Belize was behind the times. I don't know what they are like now, but yeah, it was like going in the history, but like a sauna.
Right. No, it was insane. Do you remember when we got stuck in that boat on the tour?
You went to shore. That was crazy.
Wait. Oh, that's right. They rescued the women. They rescued us, right? We were in a boat and it died. And so what happened? We dropped you guys off on like one of those little towers in the middle of the ocean.
Right. I guess yes, because they could not take the weights that he had to shore. So Wayne, that was that guy's name, by the way. Wayne, I thought he knew this guy. There was just some shark farmer, like with this house in like some swampy area in the middle of the bay. You know, no residents there. It was just like a shack on stilts. But he had all these cages in the docks, and I thought he knew this guy. I don't think he did. He just went to the closest place he could, said, hey, I'll give you some money if you just keep these white kids here for right now. We're going to go to shore, and I'll be back. That's how else could it have gone? Because then you went to shore, and we just sat there until everybody else came back.
Yeah. That's right, because we were too heavy for the boat, so it wasn't driving or something.
This guy had too many people on his boat.
Right. So to give context, we were in Belize. My mother was a youth minister, and she had taken us down there on a trip to build a church for the people of Belize. And we went on a day trip with this tour guide, and the boat kept breaking down. So he stranded the guys from our church on this shark farm, surrounded by sharks on one of those little, it was like a hut in the middle of the ocean with like a plank or like a deck.
Yeah, well, he had all these docks that you could walk on, but in between the docks, and you couldn't tell this until you just started walking around, but there was like cages right up to the surface of the water, this wire. And when you look down, you could see just sharks swimming in all these separate cages. And we're like, where did he drop us off?
This is literally
are we like food for these animals, or what's going on here? Your mom probably thought you know what? I want to reward the kids with a nice little day for themselves. Well, she signs up this guy that's like cracking, I didn't want to be chum, basically.
Right. Right. Yeah.
Anyway, it all worked out, obviously. We were fine.
It all worked out, obviously. Here we are.
Wayne just over anticipated his weight requirement, his buoyancy, and he needed some help. That's all it was. Right. It was nothing nefarious. Lucky.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think your mom would do it the same way if she had the opportunity, though.
Probably not, but I'm glad that it went down that way because we have that great memory.
Yeah, exactly.
So
exactly.
Well, thank you so much for hosting this with me today. It was good to be able to catch up too.
Yeah, no, again, thank you for asking. It was I don't want to say it was fun. It was fun.
Of course it's fun. We can talk about it now. You know what I mean? I think some of you guys, obviously it was really sad and scary what was happening, but
Well, I think the hesitation, it's like we want to laugh because you are obviously comfortable with it, but it's just, it's like some of this stuff, obviously when you hear it for the first time, but I mean, you kind of help disarm it because you're over it. So it makes it more comfortable to talk about. And I feel like, if you talk about it, it helps kind of smooth it over,
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So.
But I know, and sometimes I forget that for the average person, for just a civilian, a non-addict,
civilian,
some of this stuff is really intense, and I forget. I'm like, my needle clogged, so I had to push the blood out and drop the vodka to try to break it up. And I'm like, wait, is this weird? So
yeah,
I know. Sometimes I forget.
It's all right. Well,
thank you so much.
If you could have me back, I would come. Thank you.
Okay.